Okay, let me just correct an impression. When you say the law started in January 1st, as declared by President, that is not totally correct.
Okay, June 26.
So, June 26, as legislated by National Assembly. Mr. President has no hand in saying this is the day the law will start. The National Assembly passed the law. Law was assented to on 26th of June. From that day, 2 of those laws become operational. The other 2 were given 6 months because the tax policy says that when you are changing rate, you must give them 3 months for the company to adjust to that your rate. That is Nigeria tax policy that we follow. And we're now saying that instead of just saying 3 months, give them 6 months because this is big for them to adjust. All law started in June when Mr. President has signed. So the only thing that is taking effect 2 days ago is the rate, because we need to give them 6 months for company to adjust their system and for us also to get ready. So the law has already started since June when Mr. President assented to the law as presented by National Assembly. So Mr. President just emphasized and giving his backing that this reform is one in generation chance that we have to actually set a fiscal standard that will sustain the kind of prosperity that country needs. Now, if you listen to Taiwo, you listen to everybody, including me, myself, during the public hearing, one of our focus in doing this bill is to give relief to the poor, to make sure that those people at the lower realm feel little impact. And that is what I said, that we are taxing right, we are not taxing more. Because if you look at all the exemptions, you will discover that more than 95% of the poor are totally exempted. Imagine that we remove VAT on all food items. The percentage of people that actually go for their disposable income, like 90% of disposable income for poor, is for food. We remove VAT totally from those ones. The same thing on transportation, which is also in the poor. So if you look at the total and the net benefit, the poor are the most beneficiary of this tax reform.
We're talking about the poor. The issue about bank charges, VAT charges on transfers. I mean, a few days ago, well, today is January what now? Now, in the last few days, people have been complaining that now VAT is taken from bank transfers. People who used to pay 15 naira per transaction, they now, if they do 2-3 transactions, they have more money going out of their accounts. Then there's the issue of bank narration. Mr. Idele was saying, well, bank narration, nobody is going to look at your data. It's not the tax authority, revenue service that is prying into your accounts. But people say, look, too much money is now being taken from their transactions. Does it not occur to you that you could inadvertently drive people away from the banking system? Why should I transfer money to anybody if they are going to take more money from me?
And that is what I'm saying. And thank you that you have this data. I want you to go and check and confirm. If anything, actually effective January 1, it has reduced. Before, when you do transfer, both you that receive and the person that pays, they deduct. Today, it is only the payer that do stamp duty, which is law. So it has nothing to do with us. That's number one. Number two is that most of this personal income tax, when people talk about individual, this is just in the purview of the State Internal Generated Revenue Agency. For federal government, for federal inland revenue, we collect corporate taxes. So when a lot of complaint that people actually talked about is what happened at the state level, which is part of the reform that we've done now. You will see that most states started domesticating the Nigeria Tax Act just to remove all those problems that people talked about. Now, when you talk about narration and all these things, I just want to tell you this. Don't forget, I told you from the beginning, that our interest is to make people to prosper, because it is in their prosperity that we will have our own revenue. Nobody will continue to look for narration or narrative. Those people you see promoting all these rumors, all these misinformation, are those people that are avoiding taxes, that there is no way out for, based on the digitalization that we brought on board, like e-invoicing. So if you transfer money to your brother, you transfer money to, this is just your normal transfer. Nobody, no tax authority, whether state or federal, will go and pray into your bank account to say, okay, who transferred what or who did what. No, there is nothing like that. It wasn't in the old law, and the same thing can be in the new law. So narration or whatever, it's just misinformation. There is nothing about that in the tax law.
Okay, I have reporting thresholds. Yes. Now, if as an individual you put 25 million in the banks, yes, the bank is obliged to report to the tax authorities. If you are a company, you have up to 100 million in terms of your profit or returns within 3 months. The bank is obliged to report. Now, people are complaining about that. Can't they just prosper without the taxman looking into every kobo and penny?
No, we don't even need to say that. And I want to say that that wasn't in the law. This has already been. And I want to tell you, I don't want to say it's only tax authority. The use of data nowadays has gone far, far beyond what people think it is all about. And it has nothing to do with tax reform. It is just the advanced level that we are now, at the form of data management and the way we use data. So the reporting threshold and everything, these are already been there, and it has nothing. I repeat, it has nothing. Don't forget, the law is clear. The law is public. We can only tax profit. We can only tax consumption, which is VAT, which is normal. We can only tax your return, not your investment. And that is what one of the provision, even for the company. Before, you used to have minimum tax rate applied to your turnover, which means that even when you make loss, you will still have to pay tax based on your turnover. But that is taxing the investment, because that is not return. Because if you make loss and we are...
Or any form of reform in Nigeria is always, oh, we are doing it for the poor. What happened to fuel subsidy? It was like, oh, we have to save Nigeria for the poor people. We have to remove subsidies so there will be enough money to develop the country. How has that been for Nigeria? I don't think there's much to write home about. Yeah, the tax reform has taken effect, and it's all about, oh, we're doing it for the poor have been paying much, now we want to take from the rich, we're exempting the poor. It's always they're trying to help the poor. It's not bad to help the poor, but is that really the case? If you have to tax the rich, they have a way of passing these taxes down to the poor. Now, there are some people who are saying that there's increase in VAT in FN because they just increase their taxes. You see, they'll pass it down. There is no way, there's no escape for the poor people. If you say, though, you're not collecting it directly from them, indirectly, those rich people that you're taxing will pass the burden down to the poor people. That is how it works everywhere in the world. So, secondly, say there's no narration. Narration is not very important. If you're making transfer and you are you're within the tax bracket, narration is very important because that will help you organize when you're filing for your taxes, because you say, oh, we are taxing profit. If you're taxing my profit, for example, I sell books. How am I going to tell you that this is what I pay for delivery? This is what I pay for production. This is what I pay for this. Narration will help me. So I will be able to say, oh, in all of this was my cost and this is my profit. And is it taxable, yes or no? So narration is very important. Don't let them tell you, oh, don't put narration in your transactions. If you know you fall within that tax bracket, narration is very important for your business. If you're paying for delivery, if you're paying for production, if you're paying for anything that relates to your business, put it in the narration. That will help you personally organize your taxes when you're filing for your taxes.